Alright, hi guys, this is I Teach Math here, and for my students that's watching this video, it's Miss Oliver. Hey, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with converting fractions to decimal. It is a Friday evening, and I just could not go and start my weekend without leaving you guys with something to work on over the weekend for extra practice. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I Teach Math. All right, so right here, converting fractions to decimals. When we were in class, we talked about, and I'm so sorry about the notifications. I did not know they'd be coming up on the screen, but in class we talked about converting fractions to decimals, and we made a chart, and we were talking about if you see fraction with a denominator with the power of 10, we'll be able to use place value. So if you see fractions that have 10, 100, or without 1000, we could easily use place value so that we can convert the fraction to a decimal. So that's just basically talking about the base 10, which is what our decimal system uses. So I'm not going to get long-winded in that, just show you how to do the problem. So now we have 74 hundredths. That's how you would read it, 74 hundredths. And since it's 74 hundredths, if you look at the place value chart that you have in your journal, or if you just go back and refer to a place value chart, you would notice that for 74 hundredths, you will write a zero, because zero, the proper way to write a decimal is to have a zero in the ones place, and then you'll write 7 4, simply because 7 is in the tens place and 4 is in the hundreds place. So that's fairly easy when you're working with fractions with powers of 10, such as 10, 100, and 1000. So I did that one problem, which is 74 hundredths. You will write it as 0 0.74, which is read as 74 hundredths. So go ahead and on your notes, if you're taking notes or you have a piece of paper, just jot down these 3 questions and answer them quickly. I'll give you a chance to answer them, then I'll start giving the answers. So while you're doing that, I'll just change the color. Alright, so we should have answered it. So if you see that this is 6/10 and you answered it 0.6, you are definitely correct, because 6 is in the tens place. I mean, that's fairly easy when you have a power of 10. Then we have um the next one, number 2. And so you have 40 hundredths. And just like we did the example here, you would just write 0.40. And then the last one, we would repeat the same methods and the same steps. We'll get 0.2. So that was fairly easy. I'm pretty sure it was. But then we come to a time where we won't always have a fraction that that has a power of 10 or 100 or 1,000. So when we get to that, we have to do something a little bit different, and it's something that we run away from. But there are 2 ways you have a hard way and an easy way. The hard way is to divide, that we love so much, and then the easy way is just to use a calculator. But we're gonna divide to get these answers. So I'm gonna clear the board and start with a new problem. All right, so okay, so let's start with something basic like 1/4. So 1/4 is something basic. Some of us may have said that may have said it off the top of our head, and some of us may not be able to. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set up that division problem, and we're going to try to divide 4 into 1. Well, we know that 4 cannot be divided into 1, so we're going to add a decimal and put a 0. So in my class, I would tell you to say 4 goes to 0. I'll tell you to add your 0. But I'm trying to make it a little easier for you. So if you know that the number is too big, just like in this case, 4 is too big to go into 1, go ahead and add a decimal and a 0. And once you do that, we can continue to divide. So 4 can be divided into 10 two times, and make sure you keep everything lined up. Can be divided into 10 two times, and 2 times 4 gives us 8. And remember the steps of dividing. You're going to divide, multiply, subtract, and then bring down. If as it as we go on. So 10 minus 8, or 1.0 minus 8, will give us 2. And then we don't want a remainder. So we're going to add another 0, and we're going to bring down. That's a part of the step. So 4 divided into 20 is definitely going to give us 5. So now we have 25 times 4. 25 times 4, we know would definitely give us 100, but this is 1.0, so we can't forget our decimal. So we're going to bring our decimal up, and we're going to put a 0. That is the proper way to write it. So 1/4 is equal to 0.25. Okay, so now I am going to do one more, and I want you to try it on your try more practice problems on your own. So I'm going to do 3. I think I want to do this one. 3 and 2500s. Yeah. So 3 and 2500s, I know that this is not a power of 10, 100, or 1,000. So I know that I will have to divide. So I'm going to set my division problem up over here. And I know that 25 can't go into, cannot divide into 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a decimal point and a 0. So 25 can definitely go into 30. So keep in mind, I'm lining things up. 25 can go into 30 one time. It's very important that we know our multiplication facts, because it will help us with knowing what number actually can divide, what number is closer to it through multiplication, things of that nature. So 25 times 1 will give me 25. And remember, I have to subtract. So 30 minus 25 is 5. I don't want a remainder, so I am going to add another 0 and drop down the 0. So now 25 can definitely divide into 50. That's going to be 2 times. 2 times 5 is 50. I subtracted. I have a remainder of 0. So guess what? I'm going to bring my decimal up, and I'm going to add 0. Here, I just didn't do the next step, but it's going to be subtract 20, and then now you have a remainder of 0. So we're good. So we don't want a remainder. So that's why we bring down zeros and not to have a remainder. But sometimes we'll get a number that the number, it'll just keep going and going, and that's simply because we're going to have a repeating decimal. Okay, so let me write out some practice problems for you to try, and then I'll give you an opportunity to try those, and then we'll come back. So here you go. Alright, so there are the problems. You can practice, and you can pause this video and do what you need to do to practice the problem before I place the answer on the board. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So here I see a negative 7/8. Still going to divide the same way and get my answer, and then we'll see what the finishing decimal is. So 8 cannot divide into 7. So once again, I'm going to add a 0, and then I'm just going to keep going. 8 can definitely divide into 70, and that will give me an 8. 8 times 8 gives me 64. 70 minus 64 is 6. And I know that I need to bring down. Okay. So 8 goes into 60. 7 times 8 is 56. And then that's 4. Add another 0. 8 goes into 45 times. So we have 875 that we have here. So I need to place my decimal, and in order to place my decimal, I'm just going to come back up here and bring it up, add my 0. So it gives me negative 0.875. Okay. For this one here, I'm not going to do the division for this one. I'm just going to give you the answer, because you should be doing it along, but we're going to have 0.27, and if you divide it, you will see that that repeats. All right, and the last one, 3/8, I am going to go ahead and divide that one. So that's 8. 8 cannot be divided into 3, so I add a decimal. Keep in mind, I keep adding my decimals before I divide, and I think that will make it easier for you to understand. So 8 cannot go into 3, but I can add a decimal and 0. 8 can definitely divide into 30. 3 times 8 is 24. 30 minus 24 is 6. 8. And I'm going to add a 0, bring down. 8 can divide into 60. 7 times 8 is 56. And I'm subtracting, I'm keeping going. That's 4. And I bring down another 0 because I don't want a remainder. 8 divides into 40 5 times, and 5 times 40 is 5 times 8 is 40, and I subtract, and that gives me no remainder. So I'm going to bring my decimal up in a 0. So my answer would be 0.375. I really hope that this video helped you guys out and gave you a better understanding so that you can practice continuing moving forward. For my class, I will be sending you page numbers to do in your math book so that you can definitely get extra practice. If you have any questions, feel free to write your comment in the comment box. I know this video was kind of lengthy, but I felt like it was needed. You guys have a great day.